A magnetic woman is not afraid of pausing. She's not afraid of taking up space. She is patient. She is deliberate. She observes before she acts. She is otherworldly. She is tapped into something that is divine, something that is holy, something that makes us second guess how we are showing up in the world. And that, to me, is what true magnetism is about. It's actually something that we can evolve into.
Trust flow, surrender, let go. Yeah. Trust flow, surrender, let go. I'm the one I've been waiting for. Trust flow, surrender, let go. Trust flow, surrender, let go. Trust flow, surrender, let go. I'm the one I've been waiting for. Yeah.
How to be more magnetic. Welcome back to the Highest Self podcast. My name is Sahara Rose, and on this podcast, I love to talk about spirituality, the sacred feminine, but make it modern, fun, grounded, and relatable so it can actually serve your needs. So in this episode, I want to talk about how you can be more magnetic, how you can be that bitch that walks into the room and everyone is like, her aura is incredible, who knows her worth in relationships and dating, who is able to really show up in the world with an understated confidence where she's not having to be loud and be seen and be heard by everyone, but just how she moves carries this self-knowing in her that makes people lean in. And that, to me, is what true magnetism is about. And before we get into this episode, be sure to hit subscribe. That allows you to stay in the loop for future conversations. This podcast is also on YouTube, so you could be watching us in person, Spotify video, and the Apple Store. So be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with future conversations, and let's get into this one. So what does it mean to be magnetic? So a magnet, it pulls in. Magnets don't have to explain. They don't have to second guess. They don't have to overextend themselves. They are, and what's for them comes to them. And so when you show up with that magnetic energy, you are really shifting into what I see a lot of people on the internet call as high value. And for me, it's beyond that because I feel like high value is still placing a price on yourself, whereas a woman that is truly magnetic is beyond this basic human construct. She is otherworldly. She is tapped into something that is divine, something that is holy, something that makes us second guess how we are showing up in the world. When you are speaking with her, when you see her walk through the room, when you see her create art, you are like, wow, I am speaking to a goddess in human form. And there are certain women that just carry this magnetic radiance to them. And I'm going to share how all of us can actually step into that energy because it's not something that some people were just born with and others weren't. It's actually something that we can evolve into. So the first step on how to become magnetic is embodiment work. So embodiment means to be in the body rather than in the mind. When we're in the mind, we're really nasally and we're up here and we're trying to explain and analyze. But when we're embodied, we are dropped in. We are connected to our wombs. We are connected to our hearts, and our voice, our essence, all reflects that. So a magnetic woman is not afraid of pausing. She's not afraid of taking up space. She doesn't need to fill every single little pause in the conversation with something to say. So energetically, I teach this to my certified embodiment students. I have an entire 6-month training on embodiment, and I will link more information about that below. But one thing I talk about is energetically being in your throne. So if you think about the queen is not sitting up here at the edge of her seat, trying to get you to see her and understand her. She's not energetically protruding. She is leaned all the way back. And from the space of leaning back energetically, she is patient. She is deliberate. She observes before she acts. And there's something that's so magnetic about this because we're living in this world where we are constantly being penetrated. We're being penetrated with people wanting our attention, social media, messages, emails, bad news, the list goes on. It's like a war on our attention. But the thing is, it's just like in dating. It's the person who's not trying to get your attention that we become attracted to. So the queen energy, if you think about your inner Cleopatra, she sits on her throne and she observes, and like a lioness, she knows when to strike. She doesn't act upon every single little opportunity that comes knocking on her door, but she is deliberate with her energy because she knows how valuable it is. And not just saying, I'm a high value woman, but actually making the shifts in your life that embody that. And I have found in my own life, the moments that I have paused, the moments that I have not settled for something that maybe it would have satiated a loneliness I had or a desire that I had. But when I paused and I waited and I said, well, this isn't the full picture of what I really deeply desire in this lifetime, then the goddess is like, oh, okay, then we're going to deliver that. And so the love that you desire, the partnership that you desire, the friendship you desire, the home that you desire, the lifestyle you desire, all of it can be yours. And in fact, when you trust that by waiting and attuning yourself to that thing, that it will be so much greater than you could have ever thought, that's when it happens. Honestly, it's time for you to get out of the spiritual closet because you have incredible gifts that you are here to share. Your message, your story, your wisdom. I know it inspires your friends, your family members, your colleagues, everyone you meet, but it's time to actually be able to share it with the world. But I know what you might be thinking. I don't know what to post. I don't feel like I'm a confident speaker. I hate the sound of my own voice. Well, if this is you, I was exactly in your position. And this is why I've created my Speak with Soul method that has led to me and over 3,000 people moving from awkward to confident speaker in just 21 days. So in this method, I go so much deeper than giving a TED Talk, but rather it is about the energetic transfer you are here to admit. It's about the tone, texture, quality of your voice, how to share a story, how to be a channel, how to really listen to what your soul is here to express beyond the mind and into the body and spirit. So you're going to learn about what type of speaker you are, how to effectively share your story, and end off the 21 days recording your own podcast intro, which, by the way, you need to have me on one day. So if you're interested and curious, I have a code for 20% off right now. You can head over to the show notes, speakwithsoulcourse.com, and use coupon code podcast for 20% off. Again, that is speakwithsoulcourse.com, coupon code podcast. And I have that link in the show notes. And I'm so excited to see what you create. And without further ado, let's get back into the episode. And so when we're in that queen frequency, we're not jumping at every opportunity of love, of career, of job, of whatever, but we are acting with discernment. And that discernment means we are comfortable with our aloneness. I have found, and I'm writing my 5th book right now, and it's all around sacred feminine initiation. The key to really embodying this magnetic, feminine, goddess-like energy is to be comfortable in the void of aloneness. Because when we are not comfortable with being on our own, we will jump into a situationship just because we need that. We'll keep that friend around that the friendship expired 3 years ago, but we just don't really have time to make new friends. We will stay in situations for far longer than their expiration date. Because what the feminine knows is that everything in life has cycles. It has seasons. That just like a seed, it sprouts and it comes to life, but then also that beautiful flower eventually dies, and that is also part of the sacred path. So a woman who is magnetic is not afraid of letting go. Because when we are trying to hoard, we energetically take that on. We become thirsty. And also what we have, like we're wearing the old outfits from 8 years ago that we don't even like, but we're like, well, I still have them. And think about that with your life. How many things you're holding on to, thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, patterns, friends, relationships that are that old version of you that you're just too afraid to let go of. And the new version of you can't even be born because your hands are full. So that queen, she's not afraid of letting go, and she doesn't wait until things become extremely sour to let it go. When we're still in that more maiden-like energy, things need to get so bad in order for us to let go. We need to be literally like deported out of our houses, like have a huge like fight with our friend, be in a horrible toxic relationship, something really big for us to let go. And trust me, I've been there. And as we step into our queen frequency, we can start to feel the wind, and we can start to feel, this isn't the direction that I'm heading. And so it's been beautiful spending time together. And this is the direction of my life now. And she doesn't need to over-explain. She doesn't need to feel bad or sorry, because she knows that being with her is a beautiful gift, just like being with that other person is a gift. And if the gifts aren't really being fully received and appreciated, they're best gifted to someone else. And so it's not about being better than that person, but rather it's about you now carry certain gifts that maybe that person can't really understand. Maybe they don't have the bandwidth or the consciousness to be able to fully receive who you are. When we've gone through a spiritual journey, we are having such high vibration thoughts that we want to have those levels of conversations. We've worked through so many different beliefs and shadows within ourselves that it's hard for us to go back into conversations that we have to go back to a level of consciousness that we've already outgrown for, because it keeps that old version of us alive. And so the queen is not afraid of the void that happens when you let go of those relationships. You let go of those friends. You let go of that home. Maybe you're in a period where you don't really know where you're living, what you're doing, what's going to happen next. I mean, I kind of perpetually live in that state because I know that the more I surrender to the unknown, the more magical my life becomes. And there are some periods that I'm very deeply in the abyss, and there are some periods that I have a little bit more of a routine, and I let the goddess show me when. And as we lose the fear of letting go, we start to open up to new and new and new timelines. And this is all part of embodiment work. So I have created a method to really support you as you're going through these transitions. And it's called my Triple E method. So it stands for Emote, Embody, and Express. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to feel. You're going to feel whatever it is you're genuinely feeling if you were being 100% honest with yourself. So you know when you kind of feel a little off and you check your phone or you keep eating and just a little anxious, I want you to just sit down off your phone and really ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? You can also lie down in your bed on a yoga mat, whatever feels comfortable for you. And maybe you're saying, I'm feeling really lonely, or I'm feeling really let down. I'm feeling scared. And when we say anxious, there's always more to that. So go a little deeper. You're feeling anxious. What are you feeling anxious about? What does it feel? Is it fearful? Is it agitated? What is the texture of that? Because I feel like it's a blanket word that we use a lot when we're just at a point of tension. So after you ask yourself, how do I really feel? I want you to feel it, even if it's just for 90 seconds. Feel it in your body. Like, I want you to turn it up a notch, actually. So if you're feeling sadness, can I really just feel that sadness feel in my heart? Ugh, I'm just going to be alone forever. If you're starting to notice, I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling like my boundaries were crossed. Can you actually feel that? Can you start to feel that energy, that fire, that rage? Just let yourself feel it. Doesn't mean you have to act on it. Just let yourself feel it. And so it's important that we give the emotion the mic. Because when you give the emotion the mic, then it's like, I just want it to be heard. That's it. Thank you. Bye. But when you don't give it the mic, it's like, I need to get louder. I need to get louder. You're not paying attention to me. I need to scream. And that's when you actually get depressed. That's when you actually get panic attacks. That's when you actually get caught in a wrath of anger. And all of a sudden you're screaming at your partner. You don't even know where it came from. That is because you didn't let yourself feel it when it was really just a tender little emotion that just wanted to be heard. When you let yourself feel it, it's like a little kid. It's just You know, when a kid is about to cry and their faces are like that, about to cry feeling, but they're smiling, but they like look like they're about to cry. Wouldn't it be weird if you're like, oh, kid, you look happy? No, the kid obviously looks like they're about to cry. So you say, what's wrong? What is it? And then all of a sudden, I'm just so sad. I thought she was going to play with me and she didn't play with me. And, whatever the thing is, and she just cries and she lets herself, and you listen to her and you hold space and you give her that moment. And, I just thought she was going to play with me in this. Well, do you want to play with me? Yeah, I would really like that. Okay. Do you want to play ball or Barbies? Barbies. Okay. Yay. Now all of a sudden the kid's happy. It didn't take much time. You are that child, and you can also be that adult with yourself. You get to be the parent that you never had. We get to be our own inner mothers. In fact, it is the most important mothering we can do, because no one else will really be able to attune to our own emotions the way that we can. It is an inside job. And I know we all have a fantasy of finding someone to hold space for us and listen to us and, heal us from all of our pains. That is us. We are that person we've been waiting for. And so with Emote, you really listen to your own inner little girl and how she's feeling. And then embody is the next E. Then we move it through our body. Where do you feel it in your body? I have so many different methods, and I share this all in the embodiment certification. I'll link that below in a free mini course I have around this. And so you feel it in your body. So whether it is in your heart, it's like a black tar, or whether it's in your stomach, like a nervous pit, or maybe it's in your shoulders, like it's clenched, you actually feel it in your body. And the first phase of it is you're going to actually feel what it genuinely feels like. You're going to feel that tension, that weight of responsibility on your shoulders. You're going to feel that like nervousness in your stomach, this pit that won't go away. You're going to feel all of that, and you're going to tune into it in your body. Then the second part of it is then we're going to tune into our bodies how we want to feel. So what do you want to feel instead? Maybe you feel really close-hearted. What you want to feel is more open-hearted. Maybe you want to feel more trust. Maybe you want to feel more ease. Maybe you want to feel more sensuality. Maybe you want to feel more power. And then how can you create that in your body? Can you create a stance where you feel more empowered? Can you circle your hips so you start to feel more sensual? Can you open up your heart and caress your chest to open up your heart chakra? Can you touch your face the way that you wished a lover would touch you? So we start to give our bodies that experience, because our bodies, when they're in that state, our mind will then follow. And then the third E is express. We then express it. We turn it into art. We record a voice memo of ourselves speaking out what we're feeling right now. We sing a song. We dance. We write a poem, something that gives it life. And I find that is the final stage, a necessary stage of alchemy. That's really that chef's kiss where it's like, oh, I was feeling like shit. And now I just wrote a poem. I just danced. I just made art. And then you feel proud of yourself. And then all of a sudden you are becoming more magnetic because you are doing things that make you proud. And when we do things that make us proud, we become more confident. And when we become more confident, we walk through the world in a more confident way. We walk through the world in a more confident way. People start to interact with us in a different demeanor. And then we are having higher level experiences. And then doors are opening up. And then all of a sudden timelines for our life are opening up. And I've seen this happen so much in my life. Like every single time I've done this method on myself, I've thought after, wow, if I didn't show up for myself, even in just these 10 minutes today, I would have been walking around today with that feeling of sadness in my energy field. And that's what people would have been interacting with me with. I would have had that disgust, that anger, that rage, whatever it is, I would have been manifesting from that experience. Because manifestation is not about vision boards and writing things down and, asking God and God just delivers. It is about responding to your nervous system. You cannot manifest without embodiment. What does manifestation really mean? It means to make something into physical reality, to manifest. And so what is actually in our physical reality? What is in our bodies? What is in our presence? How are we showing up? How are we feeling? That is what we're actually manifesting. So everything else is really just stuff that can make you feel good for a short amount of time. But eventually you get to that point on the journey where you're like, I'm still not manifesting the things I really want. And it's because of your embodiment. And so embodiment really is the missing link to magnetism and manifestation, because when we are embodied, we are naturally in alignment with what we desire. We are living as it. So then the universe has no choice but to create the levels of life that simply weren't accessible to us before. It's like new levels of the video game unlocked simply because we went within. And I've noticed on my own path, as I have transmuted these denser emotions, I start seeing new timelines of realities, of people, of places that I once thought existed, but I wasn't sure. I had no evidence of it, to now seeing it and living it. Like beautiful, conscious men that are doing the work and fully want relationships. I am meeting these kind of people now that I wasn't before, because I still had in my nervous system and in my embodiment my own doubts and, denser thoughts and beliefs that I needed to purge. And through purging them through my nervous system, all of a sudden my auric field shifts, and then I'm actually seeing new timelines that I simply could not see before. And so that's what happens with wealth, with friendship, with career. You come up with ideas you would have never come up with before. You literally see life in a new way. And those things, like, sometimes on social media, you see people and you're like, how is her life so amazing? She's in this beautiful relationship and they're very wealthy and they're living their dharmas and they're traveling the world. Like, how is someone doing this? Well, it's because they likely have done a lot of embodiment work to get there. I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of these people have really gone through the depths of hell to get there, and not just hell and hung out there, but touched hell and taken what they learned and transmuted and come out on the other side. And that is what alchemy is. It's turning that muck into gold. And so for me, the Triple E method has been the most profound way that I have done so. So I'll share my free mini course that guides you through how to do that. And that deep shadow work is actually what makes you magnetic, because a magnetic person is someone that is not afraid of anywhere in their consciousness. So then you feel safe with them, because you know that anything you say to them, you will be fully received. Someone that has only kind of traversed a small plane of their consciousness. Maybe they're kind of more in the love and light and positive thinking. You don't feel super safe sharing everything with them. You give them a watered down version of how your day is, how you've been since last time you talked, because you know that they can't really hold it. And you know that maybe they're not even really listening. And I've found with those people, like, I've met so many of them in Bali, and they're fun and they're sweet, but there's just a level of like rawness and depth that I don't get from them that makes me not feel comfortable to energetically put my hair down. Whereas those people that I know, they've traversed the depths of hell and found their way on the other side. Like, they have done the shadow work. They have integrated their darkness. They know pain. I feel so safe letting all parts of me out, because I know there's nothing I can say that will scare them away. And there's just such a feeling of feeling held that you receive when you're in conversation with someone like that. I've also noticed this in dating. I have had many first dates say that they are in love with me, asking me to be their girlfriends, like crazy things. And I'm like, does this happen to everyone? Is this what love bombing is? And my friends are like, no, like this doesn't normally happen. Like, these are like normal guys. And they're like, I am in love with you. Why? Because I listen to them. I listen to them and I ask them questions. And whatever they say, it doesn't scare me. And so for the first time, they feel seen and they don't feel like they have to put on a mask. And we're going places that they never have with anyone before. And because of this level of vulnerability, they feel like they're falling in love. They don't actually know me, but they're falling in love with their own vulnerability. It is like the most magnetic thing that you can do is make someone feel safe, because that is the thing that we are all really craving. Yes, we can have amazing hair and makeup, and I love these things too, but it's actually what someone is really craving, especially in a partner, is someone that they feel comfortable to show their ugly and scared sides to. And when you can be that, you are so magnetic. And it doesn't mean that now you're going to heal it. It doesn't mean you're going to fix it. It doesn't mean you're going to psychoanalyze them on it. I've definitely made those mistakes in the past where I'm like, tell me all your traumas and I will hold space for you and be your healer because you have such beautiful eyes and you're tall and you have long hair. No, we're not doing that anymore. Instead, you just ask questions because you're getting to know this person. And then you can choose who you want in your field or not. It doesn't mean if someone had trauma, then no, they're not for you, but have they learned from their trauma? Have they alchemized from what they've gone through? Have they gone through a dark night of the soul and saw their way on the other side? Or are they perpetually living in it? This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So we're in winter now. The days are getting shorter. And I know for myself and a lot of us, like we can get a little bit sad because, I don't know, 4 p.m. and it's getting dark. It makes me want to climb into bed. But it's really important in these winter months to stay in the light. Like that's what the holiday Diwali that just passed is all about. It's about staying connected to the light even in the darkness. And I feel there are so many ways we can do that, through self-care, through being with friends, through music, through dance, and also through therapy. Like actually having someone to talk to about all the things that are in our mind. I feel like sometimes we get overwhelmed with thoughts and we like go on social media, and it's so important to talk it out because there are gems in those moments where you're like, I'm so overwhelmed with anxiety or sadness or anger. There are gems if you talk it out with someone. So I love BetterHelp because they make therapy super accessible. They're actually the world's largest online therapy platform, with having served over 5 million people. So basically you take a questionnaire and it sorts you out with this incredible therapist for you. They have a really good system for that. So you can work with someone who works exactly with the thing that you are going through right now. And you can change your therapist at any time for no extra charge. So this month, don't wait to reach out. Whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself, BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Sahara. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Sahara, and you can find that link in the show notes.
So trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance. Close your eyes and listen.
And so what I am looking for in partnership is someone who knows their pain and can sit with discomfort and also is choosing light, is choosing to create despite knowing the darkness and pain in themselves and the collective. That to me is the sexiest thing. And if you're like, oh, that sounds hot, how can we be more of that? Because I know a lot of us spiritual women have this belief of like, well, we're just more conscious than all of the men. I would say, yes, the average woman is likely more spiritually developed than the average man. But no, there are some extremely spiritually advanced, extremely conscientious, extremely empathic men out there that maybe just where you're at in your vibration still is holding on to some things in your nervous system that have not allowed you to see them yet. And some of these things are our own judgments of how it's supposed to look like. Judgments on chemistry, if we don't have chemistry with someone on the get-go. So again, we're in that kind of maiden energy that's looking to be swept away by someone. That desire to be swept away, to fall in love, to have love at first sight. That is what actually leads us into the love bombing situations, because then we fall kind of vulnerable to the people who know how to just create chemistry and they're creating it with everyone. You know, if someone doesn't know you and they're like, especially like on a dating app, someone's never met you and they're like, you can delete the app, like you met the love of your life, that kind of stuff. I want to just be with you. You know, they are doing that to everyone. And likely they have some really unhealthy habits with the feminine. And yes, as you become more magnetic, you do attract more of that. You do. But you have more discernment that the maiden might fall for that. The maiden has a radiant, innocent beauty that, you know, a lot of times men with darkness are attracted to because they're like, I want that innocence. Maybe her loving me makes me healed. And so if she's my partner, the bad things I did in the past didn't happen. And so the purest of light often attracts the darkest of dark. And that is part of our maiden initiation. We date our own unmet shadows. So the aspects of ourself we have not faced, we have not touched. We end up in a relationship with them. For us to learn our own power and sovereignty and strength and boundaries. And it's when we integrate those things, we move from maiden to magnetic. That's what I want to call this episode. How to move from maiden to magnetic, because that's really what it is. Maiden is, I just want to feel love. I just want to feel good. Oh my God, like he swept me off my feet. Oh my God, so many synchronicities. It must be it. And magnetic is like, I want to get to know your pain. I want to get to know your discomfort. Let's be friends and not wear a mask and not just do all the romancing thing, because I actually really want to get to know you as a person, because the magnetic woman knows a lot of the romantic sparks that we feel at the beginning are hormonal, and they do shift and evolve in time. Ask women. I was in an 8-year relationship, women in long-term relationships. There are different seasons and cycles to these relationships. So when you carry that wisdom, you know that maybe that fireworky feeling at the beginning you feel, it's not going to feel like that forever, guaranteed. However, there are more depths of connection and intimacy that you can have that are actually so much juicier, but it takes stripping off the mask and really getting to know the person. And that's also twofold. The magnetic person is also not afraid of sharing her own dark side. You know, that maiden is trying to be the clean slate. I have no past, no history, no exes, no traumas, no nothing. I'm just this clean little virgin girl. Please choose me. And then once she's chosen, then she's like, well, can you handle my wild side? Can you handle my darkness? You're bringing out my darkness. Can you handle that? And he's like, wait, no, I signed up for easy mail order bride. Like I thought it was going to be that experience. And now you're telling me to hold space for your feminine rage. Like I can't do that. And then she's like, my partner doesn't see me. I don't feel happy in this relationship. And then she's going to have to go through her sexy dark night of the soul and have a divorce and find her way on the other side. Whereas the magnetic energy, she's learned these things, likely through her own experience. And sometimes we're wise enough to learn from others. But she knows that if I show up with a facade and I just try to seem really, clean slate-y, and I don't actually share who I am and what has made me become this version of me, I will just end up in a relationship that I don't feel fully seen. And the magnetic woman is not afraid of repelling. She's not trying to magnetize everyone. She's not trying to win a popularity contest of like, oh my God, everyone likes me. Who gives a fuck? The magnetic woman is really only trying to magnetize who is for her. She's not even trying. She just is. And the other end of a magnet is a repellent. Just as we magnetize things, we repel. So when you stand in your self-worth, you're also going to repel the men who don't like that. And great. And who cares? Maybe they were really good looking. Maybe you think you're never going to find someone that looks just like that. You will. And also, let's go deeper. It's not about looks. The maiden is just focused on that. The magnetic woman is like, who can I actually have the depth and the intimacy that I'm really craving? That when I'm in that state with someone, I don't even see them. My eyes are closed. I'm in another world with them. Who can I touch those planes with? And so when we stop just seeing with our eyes and we start seeing with our third eye, it opens us up to the subtle energy. And so the magnetic woman is not afraid of repelling those who are afraid of swimming in her depths, because she would rather drown than go back to shallow waters. So she is her. She shares, I remember I was young and I went to dinner, and my then boyfriend's dad, he brought this beautiful French actress who I'm still friends with to this day to dinner, and it was in London and everyone's like ordering drinks. And I was still in that time in my life. I was probably 20, 21 years old, that I felt pressured to drink when I was around people who were drinking. Like I felt like if everyone is, I need to fit in. And I remember she just said, I'm going to have a jasmine tea. And they were like, oh, you don't want to drink? And they were kind of making fun of her. And she was like, no, I just drink jasmine tea. And I was like, you're allowed to say that? Like in my head, I was like, I had never seen someone just like, no, this is what I drink. I drink jasmine tea. And she didn't apologize. She didn't try to fit in. She didn't pretend to sip the drink to not get the person mad. She sipped her jasmine freaking tea. And I actually saw her recently. We're still friends 14 years later. And I always remember that of like, be yourself. Don't adapt to a lower vibration just because the rest of the room is there. Set the vibration at a higher frequency and see who meets you there. And someone who really wants to be in your life will. And it may actually inspire them of like, you know what? I don't even really want to drink too. I also want to try some jasmine tea. Or at least make you feel safe and comfortable in your choices. And so when we start to set that bar, we start to set that temperature of like, nope, temperature is 82 degrees here. You guys are at 69, I'm at 82. It's okay. Maybe it won't fit. The magnetic woman, once again, she's not afraid of walking away. She's not afraid of being alone. She's not afraid of making people feel uncomfortable and ruffling feathers, because she knows the only way that she can really create that reality she desires is by sharing who she really is. Now, this does not mean that she doesn't ever compromise. Of course, there will always be compromises in life, but compromises come when you really see yourself growing and building with that person. Please don't start a relationship already compromising who you are. I see so many girls, they start dating someone and he drinks and she hasn't for years, but to get along with him, she does. He parties, she doesn't. She starts going to parties. He stays up at night, she starts staying up at night. He eats sugar, she starts eating sugar. And you start to adapt his life because you want to please him. You want to feel like you're on the same team. And then what happens? You start gaining weight. You start feeling uncomfortable in your skin. You start wearing baggier clothes. And that's why so many women gain weight and glow down once they enter relationships. It's because you're compromising on yourself. The magnetic woman does not do this. The magnetic woman says, I sleep at this time. I would love for you to come to bed with me. Let's try that and wake up early in the morning and go to a yoga class. Because if it's the healthier thing that would be better for both of you, why not set the temperature of that rather than moving to the temperature of the thing that's unhealthy? And I get it, especially new relationship energy. You're kind of like, whatever, I just want to be high with this person and do whatever. But how are you going to feel months in? And how are you going to get out of that rut? Because oftentimes how you start the relationship sets the tone. And then you might end up in a relationship with someone that loves to go out, loves to drink, loves to always be around people. At the beginning, you compromised with it because you wanted to make them happy. And then you end up in a relationship that's the entire tone. And that's not the life that you want. You lose your glow, you lose your spark, you lose your magnetism. And it is a phenomenon to be studied why so many women really lose that in long-term relationships. And it's this right here. And if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm already in the relationship. We're already eating pasta and staying in, and I've already feel like I've lost my magnetism. Well, it's not too late. At any moment, you can completely shift the tone. In my last solo cast, I talked about glow ups, and I'm going to link that below. So I talked about having a glow up and how you can have the best glow up ever. It doesn't need to come from a heartbreak. It can just come from you deciding. So I will link that below. So shifting how you dress, shifting how you take care of yourself, your diet, your exercise, your hair, your skincare, all of these things are going to make a shift in how you feel and how you show up. And that's going to entirely shift the relationship and actually put you back in the feminine where you are being pursued. And I feel as women, we bond through oxytocin. So we want to be with our partner as much as possible and be inseparable. But actually what creates that magnetism is a little bit of space. Have some space. Go to the gym. Do your own thing on the weekend. It's okay. You don't need to do everything together all the time. And that spaciousness, and especially when you're glowing up in that spaciousness that he's seeing, you're shifting and evolving, that's going to create more of that magnetism and radiance and alluring, chase feeling that you may be missing, that you're like, I don't even feel sex anymore. He takes me for granted. As the feminine, we get to set the tone. We set the tone in our relationships, and it's how we show up and how we embody ourselves. So do the triple E method on, maybe you feel ugly. Maybe you feel like I've let go of myself. Maybe you feel like I've lost my spark. Okay, feel that in your body. Emote. How do you want to feel instead? Embody that sensual, juicy, orgasmic, dynamic, radiant, queen-like, vibrant, priestess, juicy, flowy, adorned. Embody that and then express it through your clothing, through how you show up, through even the music you listen to. I find the music I listen to makes me either more or less magnetic. When I'm listening to kind of trash music, I start carrying that energy. And it's fun when I'm working out, but then I'm like, okay, Cardi B can only be during my workouts because I don't want to, she has a very glam side, but I was, listening to some of the songs and I was like in that state, I was like, oh, it's not really the energy I want to personally have. And so That's why I started making my own music. I made the song Naughty Girl, and she's very much my femme fatale energy, and I'll link that below. And it's a song I wrote and produced myself, and it's like, touching on me, yeah, he touching on my body, get a little closer, I'ma get a little naughty. And it's just really cute and spunky and fun, and I'll like listen to my own songs. My other song, Be the Vibe, is another really like sensual, fun, sexy one. So that's why I started making music, because I wanted music that felt good in my conscience, felt good in my vibration, that I wanted to keep listening to. I wanted to like imbue myself with it. So I will link those songs in my whole album and my music below. I have some really fun ones. Another one called Sexy Dark Night of the Soul, which is all about taking your dark night of the soul and letting it make you even more sexy. I have another one called Wine Your Waistline. So lots of just really feel good, magnetic, girly music. So the music that you listen to, the way you adorn yourself, the jewelry that you wear, the styles you're attracted to, the way that you decorate your home. These are all things that are going to be expressed in how you show up in the world. And then that's going to reflect the kind of conversations you have and the opportunities you have and where you show up. And open up new timelines for yourself that you could have never imagined. I'll just share with you, I was just in Egypt a few months ago, and every single day I dressed to the T's. Like full priestess wear. Like it's this company called Temple Codes that my friend made, and I'll link them below, and just headpieces and ankh necklaces. And I was wearing long abayas with chiffon veils, and it's hot. Most people, like, we're waking up at like 5:36 in the morning sometimes, because we've rented out the entire temples and pyramids to ourselves. So it's like early mornings. And so most people are just wearing whatever, like, their fanny packs and their binoculars, and they're just trying to see it all. And I was like, no, like, I am the priestess who has come back to my temple, and I will dress as such. And because of how I dressed, the guards in the temples were like, do you want to come see Cleopatra's bathhouse? It's not available for the public, but I'll bring you there. I feel like you need to see it. And I went into Cleopatra's bathhouse. I went into Isis temples in Karnak that are not open to the public. I went into Valley of the Queens, into incredible tomb that I got to be there completely by myself in Nefertari's tomb, like crazy stuff. Because of how I adorned myself, and because of the magnetic energy that I was showing up with, that doors were opening to me. It was like the priestess came back to Kemet. And this is the power. I could have never planned or predicted that. I just did it because I wanted to feel good, and I wanted to take beautiful pictures, and I wanted my pictures not just to be the background, but like I am the work of art here. And because I did that every single day, doors would open to me that I was seeing things that the rest of the group was not, because they saw how committed I was really to the priestesshood, that they were like, come on, girl, you need to see the behind the scenes Isis and Cleopatra stuff that the rest of the general public just, they're going to see it as a consumer and be taking pictures and like an external observer. Whereas I was like one with it. So same with when I'm in India, I'm wearing full my jewelry. Like if I go to a temple, I will dress in my temple wear. And so the Babajis, whenever they see me, they love me. They're like, thank you so much for coming, because I'm showing up in reverence. If I'm in this beautiful temple, let me be the temple. Let me bring in the energy of the temple. I will put on my best outfits for it. So it's the difference between being that observer that we go to beauty to see beauty and then we feel like shit, to like, no, I'm part of the attraction here. My energy is actually, it's like why people go to Burning Man is all about, we are the ones creating the vibe for everyone. Well, that's how you get to live your life. Everywhere you go, you are creating the vibe by how you're dressing, how you're showing up. You are bringing the vibe to that family function. You are bringing the vibe to that get together with your old friend. You are setting the tone, and you can set whatever tone, whatever frequency, whatever kind of conversation that you want to have simply by how you show up. And that way, if it's really something that other people can't handle, you repel. And if it's something they can rise up into, you magnetize. And that, my friend, is how to be more magnetic. So I'm so curious. Share with me what you learned from this episode. There is so much there. There's so many notes that can be taken. I will have my Triple E method course around embodiment, my music, anything else I mentioned in the show notes. Be sure to subscribe for future episodes to stay up to date, and I'll see you in the next one.
Trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance. Close your eyes and listen. Surrender, let go. So trust your intuition, trust your